So we should be live streaming now.
Okay.
We'll just have a quick catch up on what happened in the last AMA because I know there was tons and tons in there. The biggest announcement being that we have taken over the Jam project, JAMBB, if anybody
Yeah.
wants to look it up. Jam were the first people in the world to run comedy NFTs and have significant investment from, you know, venture capital. They had venture capital, I think, of $5 million, and they did really well. They built a massive audience, sold 40,000 NFTs, built a big community, and then I think well, I don't want to say they ran out of money, but they became a massive concern, and it takes a lot of money to run something that the thing that they turned into. And they eventually ended up running out of money because of the deals that they'd done with developers, tech partners, comedians, clubs, etc. Right, and a lot of lessons were learned. We've now brought those guys into our project. So Alex, Brandon, and Brandon, who effectively are the Jam project, have now joined us as advisors. They will be working with us going forwards and bringing their community over. There's not a lot more we can say about that just yet. I know there's, people are eager to know exactly what's happening, but just bear with us on that one because we're not really going to pull their community in until everything is 100% set up for the festival, because we want them to come in and go, wow, right? So the new website's being developed, the lists of comedians being compiled. We've got all sorts of things happening in the background in terms of technical integrations with Unity, Decast, Keys 2, Wallet Tech, etc. That's going on. So that's why we're just having a little breather while we're waiting for that technical integration to happen, the new website to go up, and everything to be just right before we bring those people in. So that should be next week. Andy, do you just want to, anything I've missed out, or then you can just talk about some of the comedians that are already signed up?
Yeah, I think just to sort of reiterate last week's AMA, we started out by talking about the background to the project, which I think you all know. We did bring Lucas on from Andy's Man Club in terms of a mental health charity that's UK based, but hopefully we can help them spread the word and grow in new areas. We will support them in lots of ways. Hopefully, they'll reach new audiences, and that'll make a difference. If it makes a difference to one life, it's absolutely worth it. So Lucas was kind enough to come on there from Andy's Man Club, which is a support group for men who are feeling vulnerable and suicidal. They've grown phenomenally in the UK over the last year, or last 3 years actually, and they're starting to get really well known. They do really, really great work. So we had them on. As Simon said, we also introduced the guys from Jam, which was really good. We had TCG on, of course. We didn't have David, but we did have John and PJ, and they talked a bit about TCG World, which I think you're all getting used to as well, which is where the event will be hosted. And we also had Jess and Jessica on. And so Jeff ran the Leicester Comedy Festival. He's still heavily involved in comedy. He's coming on board to advise us and help us book comedians of a more of a lower level, but still very, very good. And he's going through making sure that what they can do is of a very good quality. But there's some really good up and coming names within that list. We can continue to build out all kinds of stuff going forward with him. Jess, who introduced herself from the Frog and Bucket, her dad discovered people like Peter Kay, John Bishop in the UK, which are really big household names. Johnny Vegas, loads. She now runs the Frog and Bucket, and she's booking loads of acts 5 nights a week, 5 comedians every night. She's working with some of the biggest names in the UK. However, she's also really well connected around the world. So, she's actually booked. She has got people confirmed that from New Zealand, Australia, and I think it's probably a good time just to list some of those that have been confirmed. Actually, Simon, if that's all right, I'll just get that list up. So these are some names you won't be aware of, but I think what's really, really good about this, and I'm just going to read them out. So we've got a guy called Faizan Shah from Pakistan. We've got Nina Gilligan, who I've seen, who's from Manchester. She's brilliant. We've got Alison June Smith, who's Canadian. We've got Ignacio Lopez, who's Spanish. We have Jordan Dukama, who's Canadian. We have Don Biswa, who is Indian. We have Simon Wozniak, who's from Liverpool in the UK. We have Russell Arathun from London. We've got Paul F. Taylor, Aurea Styler, some really good names there. Jenny Hart, Sully O'Sullivan, Karen Bailey, and the Warriors. We've also got, and they're not quite confirmed, but there's a couple of other people. We've got people from New Zealand, Scotland, Wales, Malawi. We've got a Jewish comedian in there. We've got an Australian one, and that's just off one of her lists because there's other things going on as well. But this is why the lists have had to be broken down because the big one just got unwieldy, so we're having to do it in chunks. So there's some really, really good comedians there, and there's some names that are in the background that are even bigger. But again, they take just a little bit more work, and because the Edinburgh Fringe is going on, it's just taking a bit of time. But we've got some really good names there. Again, a lot of these are UK based, but you can clearly see these comedians from around the world. I do know Dave Arena's having conversations with Gotham, so we're trying to get a meeting with them. They are really keen to supply content for the festival and run some shows. We do know that. We've been talking to Chris Mazzelli for over a year. So that's really, really promising as well. So it is all coming together really nicely. But as Simon said, we've got to make sure everything is absolutely 99.99% as good as we can make it for everybody involved. Whether that's contracts to make the comedians feel secure and safe in what we're doing, because it is a whole new world for them. Whether it's the integration of the wallet with keys to in Unity, whether it's how the build's being done by Unity for TCG, whether the actual content that the comedians are going to produce for us and perform is going to be good enough quality. All these things take a lot of time with a lot of people and a lot of moving parts. So it is, I mean, the project's great. And I think from Simon and my perspective, we were on such a high last week. And this AMA, sorry, we probably sound a little bit more flat than normal because we've had so much stuff go on. Last week was amazing. There was lots of buzz. It was great. And like anything like that, you kind of go, and you like take a breather. And there's a bit of room for some contraction and breathing space now where things need sorting out, and things are developing. So it is all good. We shared the Dom Jolly avatar. Dom will be performing. He's going to do some really special stuff for the festival as well. So that's really, really cool. He's so up for doing interesting stuff as well, not just normal stand-up. He wants to really push the boundaries. So he's well on board. So, everything is progressing really well. It's just time. These things, Rome doesn't get built in a day. It takes a little bit of time, but the work's certainly being put in by everybody. And I think over the next sort of week, there'll probably be not a lot that we'll be telling to the community because it's stuff that's just being worked on by all partners. And then hopefully next week we can start to make some other announcements on the progress of what's going on. I don't think I've missed anything there, have I, Simon?
No, not unless other people, some people have got some questions. There's not an awful lot we can update you on this week. We're just waiting for other people to do their thing, which is, it's one of those things. We've just got to be patient. None of us really want to be patient in this space, but we're just waiting now we're waiting for other people to do their jobs. So look, I'm speaking daily to people like David and Derek, and just making sure that they're happy with what's going on. Their teams are working together. I'm still waiting for somebody to do some work on the website. So just marking time at the moment. It's unfortunate that now. Well, it's not unfortunate that now we have so many people working for us that we have to wait for certain things to happen, and a lot of it tends to be on the other side of the world. So you can end up with waiting for something to happen or looking for something to happen today, and then people are probably only getting to it now, or even thinking about it now, and then they'll do it, and we won't hear anything until tomorrow. By which time you end up replying, and you're waiting again. So, it's a bit of a fact of life the way this project's running, but it's not an issue. We just got to make sure everything's done properly and everything's absolutely lined up, like Andy said.
And I think the point you've made there, Simon, is a really good point. Partners involved in this project, we have people in LA, Unity in Canada, I'm not quite sure where. We've got people in all over Europe, people in Australia, people in the Far East, people in the US on the East Coast and West Coast and Central. So people in New Zealand, from comedians even, and in India and Pakistan. It's not straightforward with the time zones. And as Simon said, one conversation can happen, then there's a follow-up. Before you know it, a week can pass over solving one simple thing. That's just the reality of it because of the nature of having to check with people in different time zones. To be fair on Jace at TCG World, that guy's superhuman. He seems to be up all hours doing things. He's like a machine. I'm just amazed by him. He's obviously a lot younger than I am because he's got more energy, but he's, he just works crazy hours working on so many different things for TCG World and for the festival, and it's remarkable. So, it's there is a lot of people involved in it with a lot of moving parts, and they've all got other things that they have to do as well. Like Jess at the Frog and Bucket, she's got a comedy club to run and a team of people and comedians to talk to, as well as helping out on this. So things don't always get done at the drop of a hat. And I think what's interesting, we talk about in this space, the crypto space, the DeFi space, things can happen very, very quickly. But because this is also bringing in real world things, it isn't moving that speed because we're dealing with real people, with real lives, with real things going on. And this is a big project. I don't think people really I think some people do appreciate it, as in understand. I think they do understand it, but there's some people I've come across, and I've had to explain to them the scale and size of this project, and they've gone, "Oh, right, okay," because it's not straightforward. It's a big thing we've taken on here. It's massive, and it's more than a full-time job for a lot of people.
Besides what we've just taken on with Jam, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And everything else going on in our lives, Simon. So, it's all good. But I have nothing else to really add to that now. I think from my perspective, I think we're kind of done on this. Not a lot more to add.
No, unless people have got questions. Have you got anything in the AMA live chat at all? I would look, but I'm streaming, so it means that if...
Will our Jungle Cat NFTs give us access to Jam content?
No. I would... The Jam content is out there. I could make it that those Jungle Cats go and do that, but it's probably 10 or 15, 20 grand's worth of development work, so unfortunately no. I hope people understand that answer. It's just, it's doable. Everything's doable in the tech space, but to write the contracts that would make that happen, I'm not knocking the Jam content, but we're going to be producing a lot more content, I think, than they ever did, and what is out there is accessible anyway to an extent. So if you go and look at their collections, you can watch it, right? You can go and watch the content that is NFTs out there. There's a few pieces that are sort of gated, but for the sake of us writing a contract that allows a Jungle Cat to go and access one or two pieces of comedy that you wouldn't do otherwise, I think the cost benefit to us as a community, I hope people understand that we're not going to go and spend 20 grand to write the contracts and build it. And it's not just the money, it's the time. You know, the amount of time that it would take our eye off of what we're doing with the festival. So
as well, Simon. 20 grand would get us an awful lot of unique comedy that we can bring to our community.
yeah, so my blunt answer of no stands.
Can I ask a question, sir?
You don't have to call me sir, but yeah, of course you can.
Um, so what is the basis of us for y'all taking over Jam? What would be the big what would be the big thing that happens by taking that over? That's what I'm asking. Like
The big things to take their community, Antoine. So they've already sold 40,000 NFTs that are related to comedy.
Okay, so it helps us produce more people to help us get our community out there further. Correct.
Correct.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I just Jam came. That's pretty good.
And it brings, because they were a world first in doing that part of that, it brings a credibility with their team coming into Joke. So it's credibility, reach, awareness, building a stronger team overall, bigger communities, more opportunities. It was a no-brainer in that sense.
Plus, we've got their email list of all their all of their NFT holders, and they never launched a token. They did have some plans for a token, but you know the main benefit to us is to bring that community in. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's great.
They didn't do a festival, and they didn't do ongoing metaverse shows and ongoing rewards and access to real world things. It was purely NFT. So, we've got a lot of scope to do a lot of things and bring all those people into a load of extra benefits, which will benefit all of us ultimately. So
plus those guys in the States are incredibly well connected.
Yes.
So it's like bringing in, some people. We've done the majority of our work in the UK and Europe. You've just added on a US branch that we didn't have, and obviously the US is so vast that we do need teams out there. And like I say, the connections that they bring, you just can't buy them. To be fair.
And where they based out of? Excuse me. So where are they based out of?
All over.
What's the main city they use? That's what I'm asking.
It's not because Brandon Henderson, I think he's opening up a couple of comedy clubs in different parts of the States to where Alex is based. So it's not that straightforward, Antoine. It's not like they've got a virtual an actual office as such, because they haven't. They're a bit like we are. They've got connections everywhere. In the connection came through, the guy's based in New York is David Wackman. I think Alex is in New York, but Brandon Henderson, he's in another part of the States. So that that's the reality of how these projects work.
That's beautiful. I was just asking, do they have a place where you can go? That's cool.
You can tell I'm still watching a trade, can't you?
Yeah, we know you're trading pretty big.
Have you had a go on the Yellow Pip Road yet, Antoine?
I'm getting on it tonight.
Okay, don't wait too long, because I need the reviews on that. I know there's others in this room that are testing as well.
No, so I'm gonna get what I need to do is have you to put it on there, because I'm not very just good at putting the probably need some help a little bit on how to put it on. So as soon as I download it, I automatically hit on MT4 on my laptop.
Yeah, just put it.
I just copy it. I copy and paste it, and it comes into my
I'll send you a little video.
Okay, thank you.
That's the easiest way.
Yeah, I'll be getting on it today.
Cool.
Thank you.
So if anybody else in the audience want to chew the fat, ask any questions, talk about any other subjects, doesn't have to be joke or necessarily, like the NFTs, the festival, the token, etc. So, it's just anything you want to ask about, that's what we're here for. I'm not feeling particularly great today. Andy probably knows that because I don't know, I've been hot sweats all day, so I'm coming down with something. But the point of these meetings is that people ask questions, because otherwise we get very bored just spouting about what's actually, like, we can't tell you half the stuff that's going on. So look, it does rely on people within the community asking questions and getting to know the project in a deeper way. Is there anything else more in the AMA live chat, Andy?
There isn't. Babs is wanting to come on stage, but it's not letting me. Let me put him on. No, he scored.
Hello, hello.
Oh, he's here. He's here.
From a soggy Cornwall.
With a soggy Cornwall accent.
Yes. Too right.
I thought I was in an episode of Fisherman's Friends then for a minute.
Oh, you never know. Keep looking in the extras. Either way, all the way, and all that stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
I just think, hasn't time, since me and Sam sort of joined the joke, hasn't time sort of gone sort of quite fast? We're all looking towards August now. We were looking towards August in January, and you think, well, that seems miles away, but August is nearly upon us, isn't it? It's the big build-up.
Yeah, it flies.
It's one minute it's miles away, then it's like, well, you're just down the road there now, and the excitement is building. It's unbelievable.
Well, we're scheduled for September, and obviously a big push through August. I can't push the button. I cannot push the button on the marketing until the wallet integration is built, which is that is what is frustrating me at the moment. Because until that piece of tech works, I can't press the button to sell any tickets.
Yeah.
Which is what's frustrating, and you can probably hear that in my voice. That is frustrating me massively. Like, that's what I'm waiting for.
I can. It's well, when Sam's here, and she has her meetings and stuff like that, and it's mum's the word between me and her. Things have been said that I said, she won't even tell me. I said, that's fair enough. I said, I'm just enjoying the ride anyway. It's brilliant to me.
I'm sure she can tell you on the quiet. There's no problem.
But there's not a great deal that's secret anyway. You tell everybody everything as and when we kind of know. There's no real secrets anyway. It's just that the only things we have to keep quiet with is the legal stuff when we've been talking to people and being
exactly
announce it. That's the only thing. But otherwise, in terms of mods and admins and the key team, they all pretty much know what's going on anyway. I mean, some stuff the smaller stuff we don't bother even telling people because it's not worth worrying about.
Exactly.
But it really, most people know what's going on because we've always been really open. Like I said, it's only when it's been legal stuff or other parties that need to sign stuff off before we say anything, and that's just how it is.
I'm just enjoying the build-up. It's like you guys are building like a tree, and the branches are coming together. It's all, it's brilliant. I think.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
I think it's going to be huge.
We hope so.
Well, we all have. Yeah, we are. We just have a little bit of. We have to rely on the market being right as well. So we could just do with the market getting its act together a little bit. You've had the. I'm not going to go on a rant. Don't worry.
No, but your historic rants, I might add.
Yeah, but we're not going to go on a massive rant. But we do need the market to sort itself out, because I'm sat here watching. Bitcoin is stuck on exactly 30,000 right now, right? And
still,
it broke down below 30k this morning, and it's just coming back up again. But it just doesn't want to make its mind up, and there's stuff going on that There's some things going on in the background. Who knows, right? The conspiracy theories abound. But when you when you see Ursula von der Leyen and the guys from the Fed and you know, the Bank of England governor Bailey sat on a stage along with whatever his name is from Japan, all chatting about, like, making excuses about what's happening in the world, right? And then if you watch the majority of that interview, because it's a really hard interview, they do ask all of these governors at the end of it what excites them about the future. And in the interviews, they all talk about central bank digital currencies. Now, I think they are all going to collude and all do it at the same time. And if they do, there will be obviously a massive event. If the US, the UK, Japan, and Europe coordinate, because obviously the euro digital currency is already built. The US would be mad if they haven't built one. The UK must have built one, and if Japan are in on it as well. But if they then bring in, for example, you know, Canada, the Swiss franc, and all the entire Eurozone and get it launched, if it plugs into DeFi, and that is a big if, the whole space blows up, right? And everybody gets excited and we go on a bull run. Bitcoin probably goes 50k plus, again, depending on what they use, you know, and talking about, you know, tokens like XRP or, you know, Stellar, others. But the history is being written, right? And we're just having to be a little bit patient, right? And the trouble is that patience may have to last until sort of April, May next year for the market to really get going. You know, I think from what I drew on some charts this week in the crypto sessions on 10x, I can see sort of August being bullish and then a bit of a pullback towards Christmas. Now, I don't really want that to coincide, if it plays out like that, with the launch of the token, you know. But
exactly.
We would absolutely love it if, you know, the US announced that they're launching their digital dollar alongside Europe and the UK and Japan and blah blah blah, right? That would be amazing, because, and if it then plugs into DeFi, all the better, right? And the whole world comes, you know, that gets excited about what's happening, and people want to then invest in projects, legitimate projects, rather than things like, you know, Pepe or Doge, or, you know, I had somebody asking me today on Telegram, you know, what do you think about Dogecoin? I'm like, really? Is that still?
I don't look at it. I don't even look. That doesn't interest me.
I wouldn't be able to tell you what the price of it is, right? I'd have to guess.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I'd have to guess, right? And I'm somebody who was a massive advocate of Doge back in the day, only for the fact that, you know, Elon might have come out and said, this is the future currency of Earth, right? Who knows? But too many games being played, and it's a bit smelly at the moment. So we just got to wait, and I hate it. I just cannot stand.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
yeah, you can't make that jump and all of a sudden find out, damn, that's the end of it. It's taking us down. You cannot do that. You know, you've got to be sure, haven't you? Really? Well, you have.
There's people still launching tokens in the space. Like, I posted into 10x today about a friend of mine. It is somebody that I know and trust, who is launching a token on the 26th, so in 8 days' time. So next Wednesday, he's launching a token. Okay. I've put a link in there. I'm not saying it. I have no clue how well it will go. I know the person, and I know that he's launched some of the biggest projects on Binance Smart Chain. He's launched some of, I think he's got 5 of the top 20 that he's launched, right? So
Yeah.
it's a, as always, a gamble. And if people want, I will post that link in here as well, and they can go and join the Telegram. I don't see much of a utility in it, but he does have the ability to build a very big community very quickly. So that's you takes your, you just have to see whether it's one for you or not. For me, and I don't think anyone in this room is involved in that project yet. I will try and get in the launch, and I'll get my initial investment back out as quickly as I can, and then leave the rest of it to run. So it's one of those. The guy that I'm talking about, it's not Nick Peterson, but it's his chief dev. So he is the guy that was responsible for Guardian and Knight and several other big tokens. So there's no reason if but then you've got to contend with the market, and it'll be really interesting to see how the market plays out, especially with launches in this, the way the market is at the moment. I think people just got. It's very, very strange to me that XRP didn't just blow up, and
I was figuring that one out as well. I said, Sam said, "Here we go, this is it," and the brakes went on.
Well, yeah, and part of that is like people like me who've held XRP for years, sat there and went, "Well, I'm going to take my profit," because I've dollar cost averaged into XRP over the last 2 years, waiting and waiting and waiting for for that particular moment. And I know it's not the end of it's not the end of the case. But when if he says when and if and should and could and would, right? But if we get a proper ruling on it, and for example the US, the UK, Europe, Japan all go, right, digital currency, bang, here it is, done, go, and the vehicle of choice is XRP for cross-border payments, and we've made it so that it is not a security for investment partners either, etc., etc., then it will go $2, $3, $4, $5, right? I can't see it going. Like, people are ridiculously talking about 50, 100. The Simpsons episode at $589. It's not going to happen, right? It cannot happen.
I'm going to find that on YouTube. I want to watch that. I've never seen it.
Have you not? Oh well, it's.
I just want to have a laugh.
Well, obviously Matt Groening is a time traveller, and he's been into the future, and he's seen these sort of things. That's what people believe, that shit, right? Can you believe that people actually believe that, right? So anyway, that aside, who knows what'll happen? But we could do with really good market conditions to get on with launching properly, right? And so. The token, I have no date for the launch of the token because of all of what's going on, and I need the festival to run successfully. I need sponsors for the festival. I need a decent income from the festival to make the project run going forwards. I need that to aid the marketing effort for the token. I need the Jam community to come in and get excited about what we can do with the token, etc. Etc., etc. All these sort of things have got to come into play. So it's a movable feast at the moment. It's not like it's not an easy game to play, and unfortunately, some of those chess pieces are not in our hands. They're.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to wait till all the pieces are on the board.
Yeah. So we're being patient. I've been patient since last May, which. That's not like me, but I'm now.
No.
See, the other thing is, I've never really been a day trader in the crypto markets, and I am now, because I genuinely see that really is the only way that you can make money from it at the moment, and that's what happened with XRP, because people went, "Wow, look at that candle! I'm going to buy," right? And I did it before the AMA last week. I think the news on XRP was just prior to the AMA, right? And I think the price in the morning went from 47 to 56, 57, 58, something like that. And just before the AMA, I bought a load of XRP on, not gambling, but saying to myself, I can see this flying up over the next 24 hours. That was my gut. And when I checked it after the AMA, it had been up at 90, 93, I think it got to 93, 94. And it had started to pull back already. I think it had pulled back to something around 82, 81, 82. And I went to myself, well, I've just made 40%. I can't moan, right? And I took my profit. So
yeah, exactly.
And a lot of other people have done. And the problem is a lot of these tokens are not, they're not decentralized anymore. That's my biggest problem with DeFi, that it is not DeFi anymore, right? On the other hand, as a project owner, we don't necessarily want it to be DeFi anymore, right? We want a world where we're running a business, and if people want to invest in it and crowdfund it effectively, that's what we're doing. We've got when we have a token, that's what we will be doing. People will be coming to invest in our project in the expectation of making profit going forwards, right? Which then makes it a security. But it means that the whole world has to wise up to the fact that all we're doing is creating a new economy where people are paid digitally, right? And that's the whole point of central banks coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming, Simon.
Yeah. But
it has to. I was watching Bloomberg this morning, and the G20, is it the G20 guys are getting together or something, and they're going to be discussing crypto there apparently.
Well, they're all getting excited about it, aren't they? Right? They're all.
Yeah, exactly. So if they start locking arms together, like, it could be sooner than later,
Oh, it will be. I think it will be sooner rather than later. But then equally, and we know that a lot of the people involved in all of that are smart. Well, supposedly smarter people than, I don't want to say you and I, but I've not worked. Exactly. I've not worked in the. Yeah. Well, I'm not a global economist, right? I'm passionate about DeFi, and I think I understand what it can be in the future, and understand, I think, a bit more on that respect than a lot of the powers that be, right? They have a completely different agenda, and it's nothing to do with allowing an underbelly of the world, like a financial underbelly to be created, which is what they see DeFi as. Let's just let all these people go and create their own currencies. Really? You're going to let people do that? No. Right? Are they going to let Simon Young in England start printing his own pound notes? No. Right? That would be counterfeit currency, wouldn't it? But we've created a scenario where anyone, and I mean anyone, can create a currency within 5 minutes, right? The only thing you've got to do then is get people to buy it or use it, and that's true of any currency, right?
Yes, it is.
But to that's what makes it a currency. Is it tradable? Now, Bitcoin started, and I'm not starting a rant here, but Bitcoin started out truly decentralized, and it is now not, because the powers that be have come in and bought the majority of it, and you see it move alongside the US dollar. You guys that join us on the trading sessions on 10x understand, we're watching the markets continually to see what's happening. and it moves. Bitcoin moves, and it's down at 29,600 at the moment. It's moving down quite quick while we're talking, but it moves with the US dollar, right? And is controlled by the US dollar, controlled by the Fed, because otherwise Russia and China would be doing something with it, right? But it started off as a bit of a dream to have money that was not controlled by banks, and eventually it's gone back and is now controlled by them, right? If you want to call them them, right?
Yeah.
So speaking to people like Anthony Delorio, one of the founders of Ethereum in Miami, and hearing him talk about the fact that he's really worried about Ethereum not being decentralized anymore, because he started out with that dream too. But then, you see people like that at that level who are, well, he must be a billionaire, saying, well, what's happening next? Well, they're then talking about can we create a truly decentralized financial system? Currently, no, because I can't create a token and say to you, Sean, will you swap this token for example, a basic need like food, right? I can't go and use a token that I create to go and buy a pint of milk.
Yeah.
But you can, if it is tied into, if you can exchange a token for Bitcoin can be exchanged for traditional, for fiat currency, albeit in a convoluted manner, but it can be done. But it's when and if those avenues get cut off, that's when things really change. So who knows how it's going to wash out? I'm absolutely fascinated to see what happens, and I think we will all be very lucky to witness something that I genuinely believe will get taught in schools in 100 years' time, right? They will look back at 2023, 2024, and look at how digital money actually was created, and the whole global financial system shifted from cash. In 100 years' time, nobody's handing pieces of paper about, right? It's not hard to imagine a scenario where nobody touches paper. It was fascinating to me that Japan prints more currency than anybody on earth, and the reason they do that is for hygienic purposes, because people don't like to use dirty soiled banknotes out there, which is like, that's just things like that. They'll be obviously the next generation, the generation that's coming through now, my kids, etc., that sort of age group, they'll have no need for cash. But
no,
I think we see it come far quicker than that. We see it come in the next couple of years. It could come in the next 5 minutes. That's the bit. It genuinely could happen overnight, and I think it will happen overnight. And it's going to have to, because the US are so worried about losing control to China and Russia, that they're all colluding, right? If you want to watch that I'll see if I can share that interview as well, because if you've got a couple of hours, and you want to get deep in and the people are just listening to every single word that these people, the facial expressions, whether one of the questions was from the interviewer, do you guys talk to each other, policy wise, privately? And they were clearly not prepared to answer that question, but they clearly do. So, when you've got Europe, the US, Japan, and the UK all sat on a stage, that's that's money, right? That is the global financial system as it stands. So we'll see. Anyway,
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, anyone got anything else they want to ask questions about or add, or maybe you just want to come along to the London session and trade with us?
I don't think anybody's put their hand up, Simon.
What's that, Andy?
I don't think anybody's put their hand up.
No.
No, I can't see anybody.
No, look, hang on. I'm going to have a quick look at Bitcoin while it's bouncing a bit now. It dipped from, while we've been on air, it's gone from 29,950 down to 29,550. Right, and it's bounced back up to 29,770 at the moment, and looks like it might then just come back off. But why is that happening? Like, is it boredom? People are not selling Bitcoin at the moment. Well, people aren't. Institutions are. You know, you don't get a move on Bitcoin like that without... What did the US dollar do while it was doing that? So the dollar's coming off. The dollar is weakening. Bitcoin's weakening. Right, well that makes sense. All the indices are pushing up. Gold pushed up today. So it feels like that's what's called risk on, right? Like when money is moving out of the dollar, Bitcoin, into... See, over the last few weeks, you've seen gold and Bitcoin move together. So they're playing games again. It's, if you could work it out, you'd make some money, wouldn't you? But DX is stuck on 100 and come back up to that level. So you've got to decide which way it's going to go now. But you could probably see Bitcoin retest at 30, and then I've got it going down to 27.6. But we shall see. We shall see. Who knows? I'm not the wizard yet, am I? Right, okay. Right, I will put in the... I'll put it into the general chat, the link to the Telegram group for my friend's token. Go and have a look. It will be one that... It'll be one we're going to chat about in crypto sessions as well. So I'll take people through the launch and we can all follow along and see what happens.
I think you'll be a wizard in no time.
The Wizard of Pips is where it's going, Antoine.
Yeah, I just think that everything's going to come together, in 2024 will be the year we always remember is us becoming where we need to be, wealthy.
Well, there's definitely nothing happening. The 2024, it's all going to come together. It isn't going to take...
It's going to be halving season.
There's a couple of questions in the chat. I didn't see them.
Well, you say it's halving season, Antoine, right? And Bitcoin is due to halve next April, as things stand. Now, without getting into really technical parts of how Bitcoin works, it's based on a number of blocks. So as blocks are placed, effectively we move closer and closer and closer to that halving event. And at the current rate, and I stress, at the current rate, that halving event will happen next April. When BlackRock, etc., Fidelity, others get the ability to have Bitcoin ETFs, I am saying that I think that halving event comes forward a lot quicker than people realise. And for all you know, it could come this side of Christmas because of the speed.
Or either Christmas or January.
Well, the thing is, right, nobody knows how an ETF is actually going to interact with the Bitcoin contract. So in theory, it has to buy and sell Bitcoin, right? Well, the volume that would then come, right, if an ETF is approved and I don't know how many, $1 trillion flows into it, I don't know how much, right? Nobody would know. But the people that control this have access to everything, right? They control world money. And if they start throwing billions into trading Bitcoin ETFs, and it interacts with the contract, i.e. buying and selling, the block speed will go through the roof. And I don't know that that's a fact, right? It's just my assumption. And if that happens, then the halving event might happen next month, for all you know, right? If the ETF was approved and it started to run and it transacted and blah, blah, all these, who knows, right? But it just makes sense that we're not waiting until next April. There is a couple of questions, is there, Andy?
It's all right, I've answered it in the chat.
Oh, okay, cool. With that, I'm going to go on my dog walk, I think. Unless we want to chew the fat over what could happen with a Bitcoin ETF for the next.
Apparently, there's more questions in chat. I can't see them clearly. I've answered a couple of them in the chat.
If somebody wants to, I don't want to click off of the AMA page, because if I do, what happens is I start streaming me scrolling around pages rather than leaving the AMA running. So if somebody wants.
Binance reported a 20% reduction in staff. Is it in trouble? No idea. Don't know. I genuinely don't know, Viking.
I would like to think that the US would love to see Binance in trouble, right? But because it holds so much of the liquidity, I don't think it would probably be the last to go.
One about where do I think jobs where AI is safe?
Nope.
In AI and Web3.
Nope.
I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't know.
Nope. Right. And this is, well, Andy and I have started writing another book, right? And I can hear people yawning now. I was telling my 17-year-old daughter about the content of that book, and she nearly fell asleep. She said, "That sounds absolutely thrilling, Dad." But from my perspective, it's really interesting as to what is going to happen in the world, like with AI, right? So let's say we end up with masses of unemployment, loads of people losing their jobs because of AI. You've got, for example, the Writers Guild and actors in the US saying that they don't, they want guarantees that AI will not be used, blah, blah. That's not going to happen. Right? If they get the agreement that it won't happen, somebody else will just go and start making films with AI. And if anybody's seen the latest Indiana Jones film, you watch the first 10 or 15 minutes of that film, and I'll not spoil it for anyone, but you watch the 10 minutes of that film and you think, Harrison Ford is in his, 70s? He's nearly 80. And the first 10 or 15 minutes of that film is a flashback, and he looks like he's in his 30s or 40s, and it's all obviously done with AI. I think it is down as the most, I don't want to use the term AI'd, right? But it's the most used AI for a film so far. But literally, it is difficult to tell. It's not a real person, unless it's him I'm sure it's him acting it. But then they've used technology to make him look younger. Now, it's not a stretch to say there's plenty of films out there at the moment that are, that are not AI, but as in they are somewhere between cartoon, anime, real life, right, and look realistic, etc. But if you say, would that get rid of masses of jobs in acting? Of course it will. Have they not seen Lord of the Rings, where there's like 20,000 orcs attacking? Do you think they used people for that? No, of course they didn't, right? So anyway, that aside, there's plenty of other jobs that are going to lose out to AI. They've just appointed an AI czar in the UK government. His major concern was, well, you know, what's going to happen with jobs when we get computer technology to a certain level? Well, where does society end up when hardly anybody needs to work? That's the question you need to ask yourself, right? So that's really, who knows what happens. You know, wouldn't we all love a crystal ball and a quick peek at what's happening in 20 years' time? Maybe we need to watch more of The Simpsons. But anyway, we've had enough of a rant. But just have a think about it. You know, have a think about what you think is going to happen. Like, my son wants to be a chef. Does he want to be a chef? Because in 15, 20 years' time, I'm sure there's robots that cook everything. You know, that's a question. But you can ask that about any industry. Look at graphic design. Like Andy's background, graphic design and branding and all of that. Tell people about where you are with that now, Andy, in terms of AI.
Don't do anything anymore. No, I do. AI just allows you to generate your ideas much quicker. You still need the ideas. You still need to understand the customer journey and put yourself in your customer's shoes. All that really good stuff. But the AI is a tool that allows you to create and test ideas and actually do the final idea in certain aspects of design really quick, really good. But I don't think it's ever going to fully replace things. I think it's just going to change the way we operate in a very, very different way. That's a whole. I could talk for an hour on that, and I'm not going to do. But
I use JPT to do anything.
I'm using other stuff as well, not just
it's good.
Yeah, there's other stuff I use.
Yeah.
But this is a whole other session. We can talk for hours about AI. I don't want to get into that at this point of time, but it's. I don't think it will fully replace. I think it'll augment. Is the word I would use. Eventually, one day, probably will do, but probably not in my lifetime.
Right.
Somebody's typing something.
Oh, someone's typing, are they? Okay.
I think it's more general chat, Simon, at this point now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jane saying customer service is still. I think real human-centric stuff will probably develop and grow. So I think what will happen. The jobs market will just flip to new stuff that people that roles are needed. You know, you can look at Web3 jobs now. I mean, they're ridiculously well paid compared to the normal ad industry. Customer service, yeah, I think you get a lot of. I think it's a good point James made. You know, people to people stuff is still going to be required, but I don't think we know.
Right, I don't know whether you can hear the music going on downstairs in my house. That is the hint that my dinner is ready.
I need to go soon. I need to go as well now.
Yeah, but as always, thanks for coming, everybody. We'll update you as we go on. I know it's a little bit of a flat one, this one. Apologies if... you know, I sound a little bit down in the dumps. I'm not feeling particularly well, and my internet has been grumpy all day. Luckily, I've made a few quid on trading today, which has been good. So, but yeah, join us in the morning if you're up for the London session, and I'll see everybody then.
See you later, folks.
Cheers, guys. See you later.